She don't play for the Fever yet. She want to get down with the get down. She see what's going on.
In today's professional sports world, there are two very different types of players who orbit around a generational, once-in-a-lifetime superstar. First, you have the strategic veteran, the enforcer. The player who understands the championship window, embraces a smaller role, sacrifices their own stats, and dedicates themselves to protecting the franchise cornerstone at all costs. And then there's the second type, the parasite, the clout chaser. The player who sees the exploding TV ratings, the sold-out arenas, the viral videos, the sponsorship money, and tries to hijack the superstar's ecosystem purely for their own financial gain and brand elevation. Right now, the Indiana Fever sit at the very center of the global sports economy. Caitlin Clark has generated a financial tidal wave so massive that every free agent, role player, and benchwarmer in the WNBA is suddenly trying to find a way to wear an Indiana Fever jersey. But as the Fever front office works to build a real, sustainable championship roster around Clark, a concerning pattern is emerging online, a pattern the organization cannot afford to ignore. We're seeing players openly campaigning to join the team. We're seeing leaked photos, social media hints, videos of players wearing unearned Fever merchandise, and athletes begging for a way into the Caitlin Clark economy. And yes, the Fever absolutely need defensive help. But one wrong signing, one ego that doesn't fit the system, one player more focused on clout than culture, and you don't just disrupt the chemistry. You blow up the entire multi-million-dollar offensive ecosystem, making it even more chaotic. All of this roster manipulation is happening under the dark, looming threat of a potential league-wide lockout, with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver quietly pulling strings in the background. Welcome to the breakdown. It's time to expose what's really happening in WNBA free agency and the truth behind the collective bargaining agreement chaos. To understand how wild this free agency period has become, look at a recent piece of footage that surfaced online. A prominent, aggressive 6 feet 3 inches defensive forward, a player with past stops including the Valkyries, is now openly broadcasting her desire to join the Indiana Fever. This isn't a formal trade request. This isn't a whisper from an agent. This is a player publicly wearing Fever gear she didn't earn, intentionally crafting a media narrative, trying to force her way into the Caitlin Clark spotlight. This is what happens when the gravitational pull of Caitlin Clark becomes too powerful for the rest of the league to resist.
I don't know what it is, Scrabble. I don't know what it is, but what she got on? She got on Indiana Fever merch. She don't play for the Fever yet. She want to get down with the get down. She see what's going on.
He wants in on the action, plain and simple. She sees exactly what's happening in Indiana, and she wants to get down with the get down. And from a pure basketball standpoint, this is exactly the type of physical profile the Indiana Fever desperately need. At 6 feet 3 inches, 185 pounds, this is a player built for war. She protects the rim, switches onto guards, sets bone-crushing screens, and brings the kind of physical toughness the Fever have been missing. She is, in every sense of the word, an enforcer. Look throughout basketball history. Every offensive superstar needed one. Michael Jordan had Charles Oakley and Dennis Rodman to absorb the hits. Stephen Curry had Draymond Green to set the moving screens and quarterback the defense. And Caitlin Clark, who was bruised, battered, shoved, and targeted all rookie season by jealous veterans, needs her own 6 feet 3 inches bodyguard. Someone who will take the hard fouls. Someone who will send a message. Someone who will physically intimidate anyone who tries to cheap shot the franchise. But here's the problem. The body type is only 10% of the equation. The other 90% is psychological alignment. The Fever front office can't just measure wingspan and rebounding percentage. They need to run a full, ruthless, psychological background check to determine why a player wants to come to Indiana. Are they coming to set screens, protect the paint, and guard Caitlin Clark with their life? Or are they showing up to hijack possessions, chase clout, and carve out their own slice of the spotlight? Because the WNBA has already shown us what happens when you let the wrong personality near a superstar. We've seen the disasters, players joining high-profile teams and immediately trying to declare themselves the alpha. This is the nightmare scenario the Fever must avoid at all costs.
Here and robbing us. We don't need no more of that, okay? We damn sure don't need no more Natasha Howards coming over here talking about winning MVP, trying to bring the ball up the court, not giving it to Caitlin Clark.
If they're willing to be a Sophie Cunningham type, someone who benefited from massive viewership by playing winning basketball, knocking down open threes, defending physically, and protecting her franchise star, then roll out the red carpet and hand them the contract. But the moment a free agent whispers about personal usage, MVP dreams, or needing more touches, the front office should escort them out of the building and never look back. You don't invite a parasite into a stable ecosystem. But here's the brutal truth. Building the perfect roster around Caitlin Clark won't matter at all if the league itself collapses. And that leads us directly to the multi-billion-dollar elephant in the room, the looming CBA lockout. While players post photos in fever gear and campaign for roster spots, the entire foundation of the WNBA is cracking beneath their feet. The Players Association is demanding unprecedented, historically unrealistic concessions. A slice of gross revenue, guaranteed housing, multi-million-dollar salary caps, and a belief, completely detached from reality, that they suddenly have leverage back use of one season of inflated ratings. They don't have the leverage. The owners do. And above them, the National Basketball Association controls the ultimate kill switch. Recently, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver finally broke his silence. The union expected him to swoop in, rescue them, and strong-arm the WNBA's billionaires into meeting their demands. But Adam Silver isn't a feelings-based decision-maker. He's a cold, highly calculated corporate strategist running a global empire. He operates on spreadsheets, not sentiment. And his latest comments sent a chilling, unmistakable warning to the WNBA Players Union, one they can no longer afford to ignore.
Perspectives on the current state of the CBA negotiations. He thinks it's, unfortunate, as he said, where they are right now. He thinks they're getting close to the 11th hour. He has not yet set a drop dead deadline date, and he said he's not ready.
Adam Silver says they're getting close to the 11th hour, but he hasn't set a hard deadline. Let's translate that polished executive language into raw, unfiltered reality. Adam Silver is watching the WNBA Players Union make demands that are economically impossible, strategically reckless, and financially suicidal, and he is choosing to remain completely hands-off. He hasn't set a drop-dead deadline because he doesn't care if they blow past it. He's not racing to save them because the NBA has zero intention of covering another $460 million loss just to satisfy a union that refuses to grasp the most basic principles of corporate finance. In other words, Adam Silver isn't intervening because the WNBA's problems aren't the NBA's problems.